Wanting to do a VLOOKUP and not sure how? Stay tuned. So what is a VLOOKUP? Well, when you need to find information in a large spreadsheet, or you're always looking for the same kind of information, you can use a VLOOKUP function. A VLOOKUP works a lot like a phone book, where you start with a piece of data or information you know, like someone's name, in order to find out what you don't know, like their phone number. Now in this case, I've just created something like an invite sheet. You put in somebody's name, and then you want to see if they're attending, yes or no type thing. This is going to be a short video because there's really not a lot of in-depth you can get into this unless you're going to, I mean, you can make a VLOOKUP very, very in-depth and very intuitive, but we're just going to do the basics, and I'll just show you a quick way to do it within Excel and also in Google Sheets. Once you kind of learn it, you can start playing with other features of it and see, you know, what fits your information the best. Now in this scenario here, I mean, you've got your list. And if it's a short list like this, there'll be no point in actually having a VLOOKUP. I mean, you can obviously quickly go through this, but let's say if it's like 1,000, 2,000 names, and you want to see if they're attending or not. So sheet 2 would be, in this scenario, would be your information. Now sheet 1 would be your display. So you can type in names and see if it's showing up. Now obviously you can always use a search and find, and a lot of people do that, but if you're trying to do like a demo or some sort of presentation type thing, or if it just makes you easier, if it's something you're always looking up. Now also you're gonna have to know the names. You might put help to the right or something, put a whole full list of names or something. As you can see here, I copied all the people's names that I'm interested if they're going to be attending or not, and then you can see right here there's my VLOOKUP formula. I'll just drag it down and it'll pull from the other list. Like I said, if it was a huge, it's going to say yes, no, whatever. But this is just one aspect of how to use a VLOOKUP. Let's look at some other ones. As I also mentioned, this could be like a phone book. Instead of being yes, no, and the attending thing, it could be phone number. When you go back to your sheet 2 in this scenario, your large data form, you could have phone numbers instead. So when you put in somebody's name, it can give you the phone number. It's just like I said, it's just depending on what type of information you're repeatedly looking up, or if it's coming out of such a large sheet that's just too hard to do a search and find. So this is just one aspect of using a VLOOKUP. This is just another example of how you can, you know, like if you're trying to do a presentation, or if this is a form that maybe you share. In this case, like vegetables grow by temperature, you could put in, change the temperature. And all you have to do is either, when you put the number in or whatever you're searching for, you can hit tab or enter. Tab will just shoot it to the right, enter will drop it down. But you can see when you change the value of your search, it comes back with results differently. And you do get this from a big sheet that has all your information in it. And there's several ways of doing this. You can put this in as in a table. You can grab all this information and make it as a table, or you can just, when you're doing your VLOOKUP, just go and grab the cells you're pulling from. The only difference is if you're grabbing from the cells, and we'll get into this here in a bit, but when you're just grabbing from the cells, if you plan on adding more information into the table, you're going to be missing that information because you've only grabbed a select amount of cells. So it's be better to do a table. I mean, it's just more accurate and probably more professional. But let's look up the VLOOKUP formula here so you can see how it's done. The first thing you want to do is you want to go into the cell that you're needing the information to show up in. So in this case here, always type your equals, that way it knows it's a function. In this case it's going to be VLOOKUP, and it'll kind of finish it for you, or at least show you. After you type that in, you click in the field that you want to be the search field. It'll actually automatically put your first bracket. You'll see the parentheses, which is a bracket, and it'll tell you the cell, in this case C7. Then, like I said, just in this case, we're just going to go grab the cells we're going to pull the information from, and you'll notice up there that it puts the range A2 to B9, and that's telling you that that's where all the information you're going to be pulling from is. Then you want the information you're going to be pulling is going to be from column 2, the vegetables, so that's column 2. So you put in 2, and then just say false, which that's just saying you're wanting an exact match. Then you'll finish this statement off as you can see. Then I put the in parentheses, which is the in bracket. You put that in there, and then your formula is complete. Then just hit enter, and then there you go. There's your information. Now you can change your search field and enter different numbers, and you'll see that you get different results as you change your search field. Now if you're intimidated by typing the code, you can always just go up to the function icon right there, click on, and it automatically puts equals. And then if you're trying to find VLOOKUP and it's not in your list, just go to the search bar, put VLOOKUP, and then you'll find it in your list, and you hit OK. Now your argument box will come up, and basically this is what this is going to build your code for you. So you'll click in that search field or whatever you're going to put your information, like in this case the numbers. And the table array was what I was talking about, is where you can go to your actual information sheet and you can set it up as a table. In this case we're just going to grab cells like this, and then you'll see right there it'll actually create the formula for you in that table array. Now as I pointed out, your return information is going to be in that column 2, so you'll enter 2 in this. And like I said before, we want the exact match, so you'll type false. When you have your information, hit OK. And now you've created the same formula as what I had typed in before. And like I said, you can do it either way. You can type it in, or you can use the function builder to create the formula for you. Now just to give a little demonstration, when I was talking about doing a table, you can go grab your information on your information sheet, go up there and hit insert, and just hit insert table. And it's going to turn what you have in the table. Make sure that my table has headers. That way at the very top there, it's going to ignore that and only pull the information from everything below what we'd call a header. Now we'll just jump back over to our front end sheet or our demo sheet, what we want with the presentation. Do the same thing that we did before. We'll go and use the search feature. We'll go to the cell that we're going to put the information in we're searching for. In the table array this time, when you go back and click on it, if you click and grab those cells, you'll notice that it says table. And like I said, the value of this, even if you grab those cells, it just recognizes that's the table. But the nice thing of that is, if you go add to that table, then every time you go to do a search lookup, it's going to find the new information. If you just do it by cells only, you're going to be missing out on information you put below the cells you've grabbed, if that makes sense. I always recommend doing tables, but you can see that it works the exact same. It's just that now it's in an actual table. Now I've set up the exact same scenario in Google Sheets, and I want the same thing. I want the results to show up here. In other words, the information in the big sheet that has all the info in it. And by putting information in the search field, like if we did the exact same thing in Excel, no difference. So you'll type the formula just like we did in the other side. Now, Google Sheets doesn't have the ability to be able, if you click on the function or the FX little icon up there, it doesn't have a builder, but you can still type it out just like this. And I really can't, I can type in E equals VLOOKUP in the description, but the rest is going to be up to you. So you'll always just want to put brackets, then your search criteria and your information. But here we're going to do the exact same thing. Type it in, bracket, the field you want the search information, then you go and do your array of where the information is. You're going to tell it that all that what you want returned is in column 2, and then put and if you notice if there's commas, then comma, then false, then close the bracket, then go back to sheet 2, and then type your number in and hit enter or tab, either one, and you'll see the results. Works the exact same way, except for, like I said, in Google Sheets it's not as elaborate as Excel. Obviously, you're not going to get the full features in a free service, but you can type it in manually and get the exact same thing. Now just to go over, you highlight the cell that you want the search results to be in, and this is where you're going to start typing this formula. Type equal VLOOKUP. Type your bracket. Select the cell for the search field, followed by a comma. Then you select your cells, your table, and what sheet it's on in this area. And once you've selected it, then also followed by a comma. This will be your column number. This is the column if you're looking at your information in a sheet, and what you want to show up in your field or in your cell. If you want that, whatever you want the information to be displayed there, that's the column it's got to be in. So in this scenario that I've used here, it's in the second column, in the vegetables column, so to speak. So you enter the column number, which in this case is 2, followed by a comma. The next thing is you'd be typing in the word false. And I was going to correct this, but if you notice I misspelled false. I corrected it back when I noticed that the formula wasn't working. But if your formula does quit working, go back and look and see if you've misspelled or typed anything wrong. So this was kind of an example, but type the word false. That means that you're going to look for the exact match of what you're typing in for the search. Then you complete the formula by ending it with a bracket or parentheses. So just be sure to start it, the formula, with your search and results and everything, criteria. All the formula is going to go in between these parentheses. So be sure to start it and end it with what they call brackets. Now, as an extra bonus, I just wanted to show you something. Let's say that you enter information, and the return information, like a description, maybe it's blank, or like in your list of names, you type in a name, like name this screenshot here, Alfred. Alfred's not there. There is no information in there. So it returns this ugly pound in /A. It looks ugly. You may want that to say file not found or try again or something like that. There's a formula for this, and I'll show you real quick. It's pretty simple. You're going to just add a formula to the formula you have. You'll put it after the equals and before the VLOOKUP, and it's going to be an if statement. So you're going to basically say, if there's an error, and then put in a bracket, another parentheses. So you're putting a parentheses before the VLOOKUP in this case. Then after the final parentheses, put a comma, and then type what your message wants to be. And you got to put it in quotes, and I forgot to do that. So put a quote, then not found, or try again, or whatever you want your message to be. And this is what your message is going to be in the quotes. Then end it with a bracket, and then hit enter. So now I want to put in some number that doesn't exist. And see? That's just to make it look a little more, like I said, this depends on if you're doing presentations, you're doing stuff in front of people. If you don't care, you don't have to have it, but it just makes that NA look a little bit better. So I hope you found all this information useful, and if you're not really clear or understand it, please just leave me a comment, and I'll also put the contact information on my website if you want to contact me there down in the description. I always look down in the description because I always have information that's additional to what I'm teaching, or sometimes just maybe it makes it a little more clear. But if you did find this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe, and always check back because I'm always doing something different. See you in the next one.